Hey guys, we're gonna start making our Christmas album. This is the Sugar Cookie, basically amazing, charming decorative edge. This is the paper collection that we are using. I have all of that linked down below. I have a video that I did just prior to this one showing you all the different products that we're using. I will link that up here in the cards and down below. There is also going to be a specific playlist just for this album. So if you wanted to start at the beginning and work your way through, that will be there for you. I will link that down below and maybe here. So if you want to start at the beginning, start at the first video. But that playlist also includes the introduction to the Basically Amazing Foundations and then the release of the Basically Amazing Charming video. So if you want to skip those two, you already know what those are about, skip those two and then start with the what we're using video. So in this video, we are going to make the covers, we are going to do the binding piece, and we may even get to make a couple of the main pages. So we'll see how far we get. But I will put some timestamps in the video, so you'll see the chapters, and then the timestamps will also be in the description. Okay, my name is Jennifer, and I am Genevieve Designs. So let's get started on... Let's see, what do I want to do? There is a detailed flip through of this. We're not making this exact album. I've simplified it because we're running out of time. It's already December 5th, I think, the day I recorded this. So I have simplified this album. This album was made using 3 pages, 3 fins with the 1/4 of an inch in between, the 1/4 of an inch spacing. I think we're just going to do a 2-fin album, but we are going to do a B-size album. I know that for sure. So let's see. All right, so let's start with, let me show you what I have decided to use in the Charming. So this is the Charming add-on, and it does not include the covers. It's like an addition to the foundations. So I needed to make a decision on how many pages I was gonna make. So I chose to make 2 fins. This is page 6.3 in the add-on, and then that means there's a 1/2 inch spacing in between the 2 fins, so I needed to use this spine right here. It says 2 and 5 page spine, so this is the spine I needed for this size, or this many pages, this binding piece, this binding paper. So I printed this onto cardstock. This is 80-pound cardstock. I have an Amazon list specifically for this project as well, so everything is linked there, and if it's not an Amazon, then I have other links for other things. So this is the spine piece. I've already prepped a lot of this because I have 5 other videos, I believe, making covers. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through most of these steps, but I did decide that I needed to use this spine piece because I was going to only have 2 fins. So that's what I need out of the Charming. And then from the foundations, I'm going to make a B-sized album. So I needed page 2B. I have 2 of those. So I traced those out onto medium weight chipboard. I think it's 30 point or something like that. Chipboard. I have this linked in my Amazon, but you can also use other stuff, you guys. You can use thinner chipboard and layer it if you want to. You could use corrugated cardboard if you wanted to. You could recycle your Amazon boxes if you wanted to. You just take your template and trace around and cut it out. So I've already done that, and I've already put the tape on the back. So this is the tape that I used is from scrapbook.com, and it's the full sheets. You don't have to. You could use liquid glue if you want. I like to use the full sheets from scrapbook.com because I use a really thin paper to cover my albums, or at least that's what I've done through the whole Basically Amazing series. And I don't know why I made that decision, but I'll show you that in just a second. So I've already covered both of these pieces with the tape, and then the leftover scraps that I had, I put it on my spine piece. So here's my paper with all my leftover pieces from doing that. And so I've got those ready. So then what I did was I took These are 11 by 17 coffee and tea dyed papers. So this is literally copy weight paper. So this is 20-pound white paper. Okay, and I did a whole bunch of these. I've only coffee and tea stained this size paper twice, but I've used them all throughout all these videos. But I did like a bunch at one time. But it's super lightweight, but it doesn't matter as long as you use things like Tyvek, where the seams are going to be, like where the folding points, the movable areas are going to be. It doesn't really matter. So I took these pages and I cut them down. So I have cut them down to, since it's 11 by 17, I cut them down to 11 by 12. So you could use a, you could basically use a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock also as well, if you would like. So I've got 2 of those, and then I've got my leftover pieces. But I'll also cut down one for, these are going to wrap around the spine areas. So this piece here is 12 by 3. And I put, this is the coffee stained paper. Then I added the Tyvek, I added the Tyvek to the back of it with that double-sided adhesive. So it's completely covered in Tyvek, so it's backed in Tyvek, I guess. So this is what you're going to see, and this is going to be the strength. And then I've got another piece that goes on the inside. This is slightly shorter than the covers, and it's a 3-inch wide. Also, coffee stain paper on one side, Tyvek on the other. So I've got those 2 prepared, and then I'm going to put these in my scraps to use in a little bit. Okay, so the reason I like to use these full sheet on my chipboard is because I'm using lightweight paper, and I wanted to, and see how it's real wrinkly? You see how it's real wrinkly? I wanted to make sure it has good contact coverage, and if I use liquid glue, I may not have that. So that is why I'll do that. I'm trying to figure out which side I want to use. Which side did I use over here? I used the lighter side. That seems dark. Well, they both kind of seem a little dark. There's a lighter side. I guess I can't tell you guys which one's lighter. This side? Okay. So all I'm going to do is take, let me move these out of the way. I'm going to take these cover pieces and I'm going to line it up to an edge. Wait, I need the darker side up. So I'm going to line it up to the edge like this and tape it down. So we're only going to cover 3 sides, not 4. We're going to leave one side kind of raw. So I'm going to remove the backing off of that, flip it over. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to place it down. Then I'm going to flip it over, burnish it. Right. So there's one, and I'm going to do the same to this piece. Okay, so I attached the long side of the covers to the 12-inch side of the paper. Okay, so this is the 11-inch side, and then this is the 12-inch side. Okay, so now what I think I'm going to do to make it easier, I think I'm going to take 1 inch. Oh, this isn't 1 inch. What is this? This is 3/4 of an inch. Do I not have any 1 inch? I don't have any 1 inch. How do I not have any 1 inch? Well, I guess it'll be fine. We're going to use 3/4 of an inch or 1 inch, or whatever size you have. And this is the right angle corner piece thingamabob I'm going to use to tear my tape and to miter my corners. I will have that link down below. So what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to take this tape and go, I guess I should have done that long part first. Go right along the edge. I'm going to go all the way around. I think that would be easier. Leave it like that. So now what I'm going to do is, actually I'm going to burnish this first. Where's my other one? I'm going to get my paper trimmer out and I'm going to cut right along the edge of that tape. I think this is just an easier way. To do it, I think. If not, then I won't do it like this anymore. But I think this is an easier way. That way we know the whole thing, the whole area, the whole tab, that part that we're going to flip over the chipboard, the whole thing is covered in tape. So we know that. So I'm going to do the same to that one. I'm going to grab this is a Scrapbook cutting mat, and I'm going to take my tool and put it right in the corner here, and I'm going to just slice off those corner pieces just like that. Again, I'm going to do the same thing to this. I'll just do it off camera. That's what I think I'll do. Okay, so then I'm just going to go through and prep the paper just a little bit, since it's such thin paper. You don't really have to score it if you don't want to. I have in the past, but it's really not necessary with this really super thin paper. Okay, so all right, I did that, and now I think I'm going to do the top and bottom first. So I'm going to remove the backing off of one side here, the tape backing. And then I'm going to just stand it up on its end and then just roll it around and burnish. I'm going to take my bone folder and just crease that edge really good. Right? And there we go. Okay, let's do the same to this side. Okay, now I'm going to take the tape backing off of this long piece here, maybe. Like you're far away. Alright, I'm going to take and just kind of push these corners in just ever so slightly with my bone folder. Just ever so slightly. Can you see that? Okay, so now I'm going to flip this up on its end and flip it around. Make sure that's nice and crisp. So check out how neat and lovely my camera. I think I need to like get it a tune-up or something. Is that what you do for cameras? I need to. It doesn't want to focus, and I've checked my settings, and it's supposed to be. So my corners are really nice and neat. See that? And there, everything's really crisp on the edges, and it looks really, really nice. I like it. I like it. All right, I'm going to do the other one really fast, and I probably should have trimmed this off. I have a little bit of an overhang. I'm going to do that. Let me see if I can get that off. Probably not. I should have done this first. Good enough. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, I got both front and back covers covered on one side. Now I'm going to take the spine piece that I have, and then the longer spine wrap that I have. And remember, this one is 3 inches by 12. I marked the center of both pieces so that I can get it somewhat centered, so it's even on both sides. So this one's already got tape on the back side of here, so let's put this on the piece that's going to wrap around the covers. So I'm just going to line it up. I'm just going to guess on top and bottom, because I don't guess it's really, that part's not that important, just as long as it's got top and bottom. You know, as long as there's enough left over on the top and bottom to wrap around, which there is. I'm going to flip that over and I'm going to burnish that on. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1/4 inch tape and run it along either side of this spine piece. And we're going to use it for 2 things. One, spacing, and one to attach this piece to that piece. Well, you'll see. But for right now, it's going to be for spacing. All right, we're going to put that along that edge there. I'm going to have to burnish that down in just a second, and then we're going to add tape along this edge. Right. On both sides. Okay, and then I think I'm going to switch to the 3/8 of an inch. Well, let me burnish this first. So scrapbook.com still doesn't have a 3/8 of an inch, but maybe one day they will. But I'm going to put on the raw edge of the front and back covers, I'm going to put the 3/8 of an inch along that edge where we've covered it with the paper. So along the raw edge, but on the side that we covered, okay, on both pieces. I don't know why I keep sticking that on that side there. I just did it again, but that's okay. All right. I guess I can move my mat out of the way. I don't think I need it right now. Okay, so that's burnished. So now what we're going to do is take the tape off of that edge, the backing off of that edge there, and the backing off of the front, one of the front or back covers here. And we are going to line that up. Matter of fact, let me get my ruler. I just want to make sure that I don't go too far. Look at me shaking. I'm going to line that up. Just like that. Yep, looks pretty good. And then we're going to flip it around and we're going to do the same to this side. Except I think I'm going to use my ruler on the same edge that I used for that side of the cover so that it's not wonky. Yep. Flip it over, burnish. Okay, now I think, will my 3/4 of an inch, yeah, it's good enough. I think I'll put this here. I might have to trim off a little. Yep, and this here. Why do I keep putting that over there? Somebody please tell me, what am I doing? Alright. Well, I do need my mat after all. Dadgummit. Whoa. I'm just going to trim that extra off there. And then on this side, I'm just going to trim the extra off. It's not covered in tape. Now, this is a Martha Stewart craft knife, but my husband borrowed my other craft knife for something, and I don't know where it is. So, I'm using this one right now. Just in case you all were wondering, I usually use a Scotch one. Okay, so let's burnish this. Alright, so I think we're going to take these centerpieces here, these spine piece, spacer piece backing tapes. Just back that out just a little bit. And take that piece off. And I'm going to stand it up on end. And then I'm going to, let's see, how do I want to do this? Let's stand it up, but let's see, let's flip this over this way like this. And then I'm going to try to get that in that gap there. The tie-back does make it a little bit thicker, you know, but that's okay. We want that strength so that it won't tear under the weight of anything. Okay, that's not too bad. Put that back down, flip it around this way. Do this side. Back that up just a little. Well. Take that off. Okay. Okay, so then the last piece, well, I guess it's technically not the last piece, but it's going to go here. So I need to cover this whole back side with tape. And what do I have? How do I want to do this? I'll put it on the spine piece directly. I'm using that. This is 3/4 inch tape. Turn it around. Okay, and then I think I'll use, I guess I could use 1/4 inch, but I'm going to use the 3/8 along this edge and along this one. And then I will put it along all the edges of this one. So this is the piece. There's the coffee stained on one side. Tie back on the other. And what I'm saying is spelled T-Y-V-E-K, I think. Tyvek. I'm sure it's supposed to be pronounced differently. That's definitely not my strong suit. Pronunciation. Between allergies and accent, I tend to say funny things. Or say things funny. And backwards. Okay. Burnish that. Burnish these. Alright, so I'm going to start with the center first. I don't think I'm going to take any tape off just yet. I'm just going to try to line it up correctly here. In the center. Burnish that down. Alright, and then I'm going to fold this back and I'm going to take this piece off and no, just do that piece for now. I'm going to try to get this worked in there without tearing anything. Around, do it this way. Alright, so now I can take this piece and this long piece off, both long pieces. And burnish that down. Do the same on this side. I love this coffee stained paper. It looks so pretty. Take that centerpiece out. That centerpiece, that's the marker, the spacer tape. And burnish this paper down onto it. This way, this cover will not get torn apart by these seams, these spaces. So, no way, no how. Take this piece off and this piece. And then top and bottom. Whoops, I should have done the top and bottom tape first before I did the side tapes, putting it on. Okay. Come on. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to flip it the other way and just really work those because there's going to be a lot of moving. There's going to be a lot of opening and closing of these joints here. So I want to make sure that they're really good and flexible. Got to go both ways here, right? You should be able to lay it flat like that and nothing happens. It should be just totally, totally fine. Okay, so I think we'll do one last thing in this video. We're going to prep the, one last little burnish. We're going to prep the binding piece that is on page 6.3 in the charming. If you are using the graceful edge, it's the same exact page, 6.3. So you can choose whichever edge you want to use. You can use the graceful instead of the charming. No matter which one, anytime I'm making an album that I'm using one of these edges, you could use either one. Okay, this is the charming edge, in case you didn't know. You can use either edge. You can use that one or the graceful, it doesn't matter. Whatever one you like the best, that's the one you can use. Okay, so this is page 6.3. I printed the letters background one, not the plain one. I really like that look. So this is the binding we're going to be doing, the stitched binding. Okay, so we're just going to get this piece ready, and we're not going to stitch anything in yet. We'll do the next video. We'll start with doing the pages, because you have to stitch the pages on before you can add it to your album. But if you want to see real quick how to do this, I have that linked in the cards and down below. I have a video specifically showing you how I made, how I'd stitched this on. Okay, so for this one, let's just trim it out all the way around off. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to keep the wings or not. Well, we're going to trim it out like we are going to keep them. Also, I forgot to say, I will try to make a list of the pages that I'm using in the description bar below the video, the description box below the video, so that you can, if you want to, print them out. I won't tell you, let's see, how am I going to do it? Last time I didn't add the mats on the list, I just the main base pages. Maybe I'll do that again. I haven't decided yet. So I will try to do that. Also, I will try to add the list of the pages that I'm using from the templates and what they are. Like, I'll put on there that this was page 6.3 in the charming and then letters. So I'll try to do that. I'll try to do that. Okay, now I need my scoreboard. This is a We Are Memory Keepers scoreboard. This is a We Are Memory Keepers stylus, scoring tool. Let's see. Okay, I can't decide if I'm going to use this or not. The wings. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through and score every line on here. I have seen other people flip it over and score both ways if you want to do that, because the lines are going to be going in different directions. So you could totally do that if you want to. Just flip it over and follow those same score marks that you just made. That really is going to work that paper. Okay. So what I like to do is I like to go and do every single one, prep every single fold in the same direction. Now, I know not everybody does it this way, and that's okay. If you don't do it this way, you do it the way you want to do it. You do it the way that's most comfortable for you or that works best for you. But this, I find, provides me with the neatest outcome. The cleanest, neatest outcome. So I went and scored or prepped everything the same way. Now I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to go the other way and do all of them again, prepping them this way. Like that. So now they have all been prepped both ways. So now I can go through. So the ones that have the dots on them, those are going to be your peaks. So if you want to, you can flip that over and really give that a good burnish, like that. And do the same for this peak. Flip that the right way and burnish. So we got something that kind of looks like that. So now you can make them into peaks. Like pinch it together, and now you got something that looks like that, right? So now what I'm going to do, since we got these all burnished, I'm going to make sure everything is good and flat. Everything looks nice and flat. Yep. Okay, so we're going to flip it this way, and we're going to add some strips of Tyvek. So I'm going to mark it just with my pencil for you guys. So where my pencil lines are, if you can see that, I don't think you can. There you go. Maybe I should use something different. Let's use a Sharpie. So let me do a squiggle. I'm going to mark where I'm going to put strips of Tyvek. Okay, so in the prep video, we made a sheet of Tyvek that's covered with tape. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my paper trimmer, and it doesn't even really matter as long as you get enough to cover that area, both sides. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, maybe I should be more specific. Let's make it matter. Let's do, what do we got here? We got an 8.5 inch piece. Let's do, if we do 3/4, that's 3/8 on each side. Okay, so we'll do 3/4 inch pieces. Yeah. So we need 2 of those. So, right, is that what I just cut? It looks like that one might be a little bigger. Let's scoot back just a little. It doesn't matter. It's not that crucial. You just need 2 strips. So these are my Tyvek strips. I'm going to take the backing off, the tape backing off. Right, let me flatten this back out a little bit better. Tape backing off. And we're just going to add it. You do not have to go end to end. You can if you want to, but you do not have to. And we're just going to try to center that down through there. Right? And then you burnish. I know it's hard to see because it's white on white, but can you see my Sharpie underneath there? Right? So that's going to be our peak. So this way, when we sew through this, it's not going to pull out. So let's do the other one. And I have decided that both the pages and the peaks are going to need Tyvek strips. I've decided that's just the safest way to go. So when in the next video, I'll talk about that a little bit more. Okay, the same thing. We're just going to walk this all the way down that center, and then we're going to burnish. Okay. Now, we're going to flip that over again, and we're going to take our peaks, burnish those once again. It's not going to be as tight of a crease because now we've got that Tyvek in there, but it's good enough. Burnish that down. Okay, so then now on the inside of our 2 peaks, we have it covered in Tyvek. Okay, so the next thing, the last thing we'll do is we will poke holes. So I'm going to take my little pokey tool, and there's, on the template, there are 5 dots. Now I did 5 because I figured since the pages were so tall, it would be sturdier, and there's going to be weight on the pages, so again, it'll be sturdier. But if you only want to do 3, just do 3. It's totally up to you. So I'm going to do all 5. Poke me some holes. This is just a piece of, this is 1/4 inch foam core, not foam core, 1/4 inch fun foam. I cut it, stuck 2 pieces together and cut it down. So this is what I poke. I use to poke, I use so that I can poke into. I know what I'm trying to say. I know what I'm trying to say. I just don't know if it's coming out right. Okay, so I'm going to do both of these. It's not super crucial. They're perfect or by any means. Just get a hole poked. I also wanted to point out, if you've been following the series, the Basically Amazing series, you know that the way we've been doing the binding is we have the stack the deck type binding, so it's like a layered binding, I think. So yeah. And then when we had like a flap, when we have our long tab, our long fin, we would take the fin of the page and attach it directly to here. You can, not here, but to, let's say you were using this binding. You could literally take your long fin of your page and attach it to the side of this binding piece instead of stitching. If you did not want to stitch and you wanted to use an accordion style binding, you can literally just attach your fin, your page fin. And maybe I'll talk about that in the next video as well. So you don't have to sew. You can totally do it the other way. You can totally use the other binding, but we're using the stitch binding. I guess that's what I meant to say. You could totally use the other binding from the original foundations, or if you wanted to use this type of binding, you could totally just attach the fin to this strip. But again, we'll talk about that again in the next video. So yeah, so that's all we're gonna do. This is where we're gonna stop. Actually, should we go ahead and put some tape on here? No, let's not. Let's add the pages first before we add tape, because sometimes the tape and the needle they're not friends. A needle and tape, they don't like each other. Okay. So that's all we're going to do today, you guys. Okay, so if you liked the video, be sure to give me a thumbs up. Be sure to leave me a comment so that you're entered into the giveaway. I forgot about the giveaway. I should have reminded you at the beginning. If you comment on every single video in this album, the series that we're making, I'm going to go through and pick random videos and go through the comments and pick a winner to win the paper collection. So be sure to comment and be sure that you're a subscriber. You have to be a subscriber in order to win. Okay, so, and it is open to everybody. It's completely open to everybody because it's just a few little packages, so I don't mind going ahead and paying extra shipping to people that are in another country. Okay, all right, you guys. So that's all I got, and I will see you next time. Bye.